Good morning. My name is Pat Woods. I'm the Director of Religious Education at the Abraham Lincoln Unitarian Universalist Congregation in Springfield, Illinois, and I'm here today with our Time for All Ages. Now, I'm going to tell you, I had a really hard time today figuring out what I wanted to talk about. And then I had breakfast. I get some of my best ideas at breakfast. The idea I got came from the bottom of my yogurt cup, and it said, "Surround yourself with goodness." And I got to thinking about that, especially in this time of COVID-19, and the things that we should surround ourselves with, and what things are really good. And I started thinking that the things that are really good are those things that remind us how much a part of a community we really are. And I looked around my house and started to find those things. And the first thing I found was this beautiful, well, I don't know how beautiful it is, but I think it's gorgeous. But this beautiful little clay pot that my son made for me when he was taking a clay class at the Springfield Art Association. I thought that the swirling of the red clay and the white clay was just beautiful. And so this has a place of honor in my home. It sits on one of my pieces of furniture, and every time I go by it, I'm reminded of my son and the relationship we have and how much I love him. And that's really good because I haven't seen him physically in about a month because we've been on isolation. And other things that I found around my house, please don't laugh at my poor little bear or cat or whatever he is. This is Frisky. I think he's a cat. And this was my first stuffed animal, and I don't even remember who gave it to me, but it reminds me of my family. It reminds me of my mom and dad and the wonderful childhood that I had. And that also reminds me that there are a lot of people in this world who love me and a lot of people whom I love. And some of them have passed, but I still remember them. And those memories are a very important part of the goodness with which I surround myself. And the people who are still here, even though I may not be with them right now, I can talk to them or I can FaceTime them, and they're still part of that goodness. Another part of that goodness, I think, is books. Of course, I would say this, being an English major and all that, but this wonderful book was in a box of books that my cousin Karen brought over last week. And this was one of the books that I read every single summer when I went to my Aunt Irene's house in Whitehall to help her clean the house and work in the basement and do all those things that she needed another pair of hands with. But this book helped me escape to a world that was something I never could have imagined. And it brought about a love of books for me, and it brought about a love of reading. And I don't think it matters whether we read to someone or if someone reads to us, or if it's a picture book or a book with text. This can be part of the goodness with which we surround ourselves. And we might also think about writing our own things. This is my journal. Well, it's my current journal. I write in this for about 10 minutes at a minimum every single day. And the reason I do that is this gives me time to pause and think about things that maybe I'm concerned about and need to figure out, or maybe things I want to celebrate, or maybe just a piece of poetry I want to write, or a sketch that I'd like to make. And I'm not really doing this for anybody but me, but it's a goodness in my life. And I also got to thinking that those can be passed on. This is my great-grandmother's journal from 1955. I never knew her, but I can read this journal, and she has volumes of them going back to the early 1900s. But I can read this, and in reading this, I learn more about her, I feel more connected, and it's a way for me to connect to that goodness of family, even in a time when my family may not be near me. The last thing I'd like to show you today is a game. This is, see if I can get the whole thing in here. There we go. This is the three-dimensional Star Trek chess set that my spousal unit got me for Christmas. And we just played a first game of it yesterday. We ended up in a tie, for those of you that might want to know. And this also represents goodness, that connection that we have with others. And playing games can certainly be a great way to do that. Again, whether we're playing games with the people that we're staying home with, or whether we're playing games on the internet with our family and friends. And so I want to invite you this week to look around the place where you live. and find those things that represent for you the goodness in your life, and maybe represent for you those things that we take for granted, that we don't think about. Do I take this for granted? Yeah, I really do, because it's on the table every single day. But if I let myself, I can be reminded that it represents a relationship that is very important to me, and that goodness will sustain me through this time of COVID isolation. It will end. We will get through it together. So look for the goodness in your lives this week. And if you'd like to, share it with me. Have a great week. Bye-bye.